Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talking About Balls. I am Justin George. Solo again. Kyle's dealing with some family issues. Thoughts and prayers if you're into that kind of thing to Kyle. Hoping for the best for everybody, and shout out to Jess. So here we are. Kyle is back from Vegas. We'll get a full recap on that next week. I did decide last week, because the Browns had a bye week, I needed a bye week as well. You can't see it here because I am blocking the camera, but we do have a much more organized, different looking office here in my house. I'll show you a little preview there. We have our bookshelf moved. The masks are up. The books are actually put away this time. So we're getting there, making progress slowly but surely. Don't call me Shirley. It's getting there. It's exhausting. Doing it with a newborn is twice as exhausting, but wouldn't have it any other way. Love it. Loving it. Last couple of weeks, what have I been up to? I have been raking leaves like a motherfucker, and I am learning every time I rake a new method, a new way to do it. A couple of weeks ago, I was out there for the first time. I had a rake and I had a leaf blower. I just purchased a leaf blower. Never used one in my life, if I'm being honest, but I bought it. The raking, you might not be able to see. Maybe you can. I got a nice blister on my hand from a couple of weeks ago. It's getting better, but that was from raking. Just ripped up my fucking hand. I also, if you notice, I have bandages on my fingers because I had to work in the factory for the last couple of days. We had an injury on the shop floor, so I'm filling in and running a machine. And the gloves, not an injury from work, it's just the gloves are causing my dry skin to get hangnails, and the hangnails have been ripped off. So my fingers were bleeding at the end of the day just from wearing gloves, which is the worst excuse for an injury I've ever heard, but that's happening to me. So it is what it is. So I've been raking like crazy. I had multiple piles. Again, every time I raked, I'm not going to bore you guys with talking about how I rake, but every time I would go out there to rake, I would, or every time I'd go out there to move the leaves, I would try a different method. So the first time I went out there, straight up just rake and leaf blower. So that was it. I would rake, I would grab the leaf blower, I'd pile everything up. Took forever. The leaf blower, again, I'd never used one before, so I was learning for the first time, and I was causing the leaves to just blow all over the fucking place. I have since gotten much better, don't worry. Second time I went out there was a huge pile that was built up from when I cut the grass that was directly underneath a tree. So that was a little easier, but what I thought was, instead of raking and leaf blowing these heavy piles, why don't I take my shovel, my big snow shovel, and just scoop the leaves and toss them in the pile, because the city comes by and collects the leaves. Perfect. Worked great. It was time consuming. Then I thought again. This is where I got the much better idea, and it fucking flew by. I had another pile. I have too much yard. I have an acre and a half, trees everywhere, so the leaves are outrageous. What I thought of, though, and worked, was to do the shovel, but shovel it into a garbage can. So I have two garbage cans. I have my recycling can and my trash can, and obviously I'm not leaving them in there. Carry the cans to the street, dump them in a pile, bring them back, or to the curb, whatever. Did that, fucking knocked it all out in like an hour and a half. It was so easy, and there was a shitload of leaves. So that's my new method. I know people do the tarp method, which seems like a decent idea. I might try that. I just have to buy a tarp. So that might be take 4, because there's still leaves. This was just the leaves. 3 days worth of raking. Well, 3 afternoons, if you will, just for the front yard. I still have a shitload of leaves in the back that I haven't even touched yet because there's just so many. I did go outside and try to have a fire the other day. It didn't work because the wood was all wet, but I tried. I sat in the backyard for the first time, like the way back. We used our hot tub for the first time. That was cool. Drank some wine, watched the Cavs game on my phone. I brought a little speaker out there with us. We enjoyed the hot tub a couple weekends ago. Cool time. What else? I mean, I went out to dinner for my friend's birthday last Friday. The wife surprised me. She told me going into Friday that we were going to her sister's house. Just a family sibling hangout. So I was like, whatever. Lo and behold, her mom comes over to watch Teddy. We start leaving, and I'm like, all right, where are we going? And I noticed she said we're going to her sister's, but all of a sudden we're not driving south, we're driving north. And I'm like, what's happening right now? And then I put 2 and 2 together, and I go, all right, clearly we're going somewhere else, but where? and then we go to a bar that I love, Hoof and Ladder, Moosehead Hoof and Ladder in downtown Olmsted Falls. It is it has Moosehead, the beer from Canada, Moosehead Lager, one of my favorite beers. Shout out to Moosehead. So you can buy it. You can buy it in a bottle, and I have them in my fridge almost at all times. I love it. She did get me, George. I had no idea. I was like dreading it. I'm like, all right, we're going to your sister's. Like, what time are we leaving? I want to watch the Tyson fight because this was Friday night. I'm like, what time are we leaving? And she's like, well, we'll figure all that out. I'm like, all right, whatever. But they have Moosehead on draft. Literally the only bar that I know of in Northeast Ohio that has Moosehead on draft. So I love going there. It's fucking delicious. Good stuff. So she took me there. Then afterwards, we went back to my old stomping grounds in Brook Park. She took me to Solid Gold Lounge, which has been mentioned on this show plenty of times. Solid Gold Lounge is a really cool dive bar in Brook Park. It's super cheap. We went to... There's a bar right across the street basically called The Office. We went there a couple of weeks ago after my friend's birthday dinner and got 3 or 4 beers, me and my buddy, and Tara got a couple vodka cocktails, and our total was I forgot, $40, $50 almost, just for a handful of drinks. A little more pricey than I'm used to. Then we went to Solid Gold, and I probably drank 5 to 8 vodka tonics. She probably had 3 to 5 vodka tonics. They're not big. They're decent sized glasses, a regular rocks glass. And we had, again, 10 plus drinks, and our total was $35. So I love Solid Gold. Definitely liked being there. They had a band going, but it wasn't too obnoxious. And they also had the fights going. They had the Cavs game on. They had everything. It was cool. So that was cool for Friday. I'm trying to think what else I did the weeks before. Really, all we've been doing is just trying to get more settled into the house. We had some electrical work done. We got a new, I can't think of the word, lighting fixture for our dining room. We got a new one, so we had somebody come over and install that. We had a lot of unpacking and cleaning and organizing and just doing shit like that. And again, I've been raking like crazy, so been busy, super busy. Teddy had her 9-month doctor's appointment on Monday, which went well. She's doing great. She's a little sick, so that made it. Last night was a night, I'll tell you that. It's her first illness. She's doing very well. It's just a stuffy, runny nose. It's just a nose thing. So she had some trouble sleeping last night. She was a little irritated, and rightfully so. She's a baby. She's sick for the first time. She doesn't know what the hell to do. So we've just been sucking snot out of her nose and wiping her nose nonstop and trying to keep her healthy. I bought her a new humidifier today. Doing what we can. But she's doing good. She's a champ. You wouldn't even know that she's sick, truthfully. She's still as happy and smiley as ever. But it's cool. On Sunday, we went to, my days are all over the place. I'm skipping days because in my head, I don't remember what I did. So it's coming back to me. On Sunday, we went to Coe Lake and we took some pictures, family photos. I'm sure they'll be posted very soon. Obviously, I'll get to the fights and all that shit. But yes, I will be talking about the Tyson and the Stipe fight for sure. The dinner thing. Which dinner are we talking about, George? I don't remember. I've had multiple dinners. Went to my buddy's birthday dinner. Kyle and Jess did not go. They canceled at the last minute. I think they had some last minute packing to do. Oh yeah, the Friendsgiving. I forgot about that. That happened. Yeah, so the Friendsgiving happened. I had to make that vegetable dish. Went well. Hung out with everybody. Most people I'd never really met. Apparently, I had met the one woman, the host, before. I'm terrible with remembering people. I apologize, but that's just a flaw. And I walked in, and she was like, "Oh, hi, Justin," blah, blah, blah. And I gave her a hug, and I said, "Oh, hey, nice to meet you." And she's like, "Oh, I think we've met before." And I'm like, shit, I probably should have just said, "Hey, how's it going? Not nice to meet you." And I stepped on my own foot there and let her know that I didn't remember her. So she was like, "No, I've been around before." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, sorry, my bad. Yeah, of course." I don't know. I have a horrible memory. But the dish that I made was pretty good. I made sweet potatoes, butternut squash, all cubed up with Brussels sprouts, and I made a cranberry glaze and baked everything, made the glaze, put everything into a bowl, dumped the glaze on it, shook it all up, and then dumped in some goat cheese. It was actually really good. I liked it a lot. I made a huge portion, and we had some decent leftovers, so I was able to eat that for a couple days after. Yeah, so good time. It was cool to see people. Yeah, we had fun. It was on a football Sunday, so the Browns were on a bye week, so it didn't matter. But yeah, it was a good time. What else? Fuck, I'm trying to think. I don't really do much during the week. It's pretty much just come home and be with the family on Monday through Friday, or Monday through Thursday at least. And then the weekends we try to do some shit. Saturday of this week we really didn't do anything. We were supposed to. I don't remember what. Oh, we were supposed to do the family pictures on Saturday, but the schedules just didn't work out because of the babies and their napping. So we didn't do that. We ended up doing it Sunday morning. So we got that done. Saturday didn't do anything here. Again, I just went outside. I did some. What the fuck did I do Saturday? I don't remember. I watched college football. We did something, didn't we? Fuck, I don't remember. I don't know. Beats me. Maybe we did some shopping. I don't know. Friday, though, was the cool night we went out. Dave, what's up, dude? Thanks for checking in. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Dave asked me to be on with him and Chipper for Steel City Renegades on Sunday, but I couldn't make it because we were taking the pictures at Coe Lake. So couldn't make it. Hopefully, maybe this week or maybe next week we'll talk. Be cool to talk a little Browns Steelers. They play, of course, tomorrow night, which we're going to talk about, obviously, later. But yeah, that's pretty much it. As a new dad in a new house, my life is as exciting as going out. That's like my big thing. So nothing's really changed with who I am as a person. It's more so just I don't have the opportunity to do things. So when the opportunity presents itself to go out and have a nice draft beer or a beer at a bar, I love it. I'm a simple man. That's all I really need in life. Hell no, Dave. I would not go to that game unless I had a suite with a heater. I would not waste a second on the Browns this year. I'll be watching from my home, and when I say watching, I say that loosely. I will have the game on in the background. I will more than likely be reading a book or doing something productive around the house while the game is playing because, spoiler alert, I expect it to be ugly. Weather is going to play a factor, but the Browns I'll talk about the Browns, but the Browns don't look like a team interested in winning right now. So I will get into all that. This is probably the least excited I've ever been for a Browns game. And it's a shame because it's a Browns-Steelers. The Steelers are in first place. I don't blame you, George. I'm home on solo duty with Teddy on Thursdays. Otherwise, I'd probably look for something better to do myself. But I'm going to be putting her to bed at like 7:30, and then I have nothing else to do for the rest of the night. So I'll throw the game on, do some cleaning, call it a night. So yeah, that's really it. I didn't do a whole lot unless something comes to mind. I don't remember. Yeah, really, that's it. I don't know, Dave. I don't. You haven't watched a lot of Browns games this year, then, if that's your feeling. They have 2 wins for a reason. Defense did play really well against Baltimore a few weeks ago, and that's what helped them win the game. And a lot of timely dropped interceptions from the Ravens defense, and timely dropped catches from the Ravens cost them that game. Really, the Ravens should have won that game by at least 2 scores. Instead, they lost. It happens. It's the NFL. I mean, look at Sunday. Steelers didn't score a single touchdown, all field goals, and they still win the game against the Baltimore Ravens, who a lot of people pick as like a Super Bowl favorite. So, no, don't get me wrong. The Steelers' offense is not good, but the Browns are that much worse. And the Steelers' defense is really good, and that's their claim to fame. If they can make Jameis create turnovers, which happens. And yeah, Dustin Hopkins is no longer reliable for the Browns. He's washed. Chris Bosworth is great. Or Boswell. Is it Boswell or Bosworth? Chris Boswell. Well, he just won AFC Special Teams Player of the Week. He's kicking everything, hitting everything. Pittsburgh's wind is a little similar to Cleveland, so he's a good kicker in Pittsburgh. I'm sure he won't have much trouble in Cleveland tomorrow, even though the weather is, again, supposed to be a factor. But the Steelers have the better defense. Steelers, even though their offense hasn't been good, Steelers have the better offense. They have the better special teams. They have a better coach. Don't get me wrong, I love Kevin Stefanski, but Mike Tomlin is a great coach. I'm not denying that. He has a consistent winning record for a reason. He's a great coach. So when you put all that together, they have three. We'll give them 3.5. I'll say Tomlin and Stefanski are a wash. I think they're both really good coaches. So I'll say they have 3.5 out of the 4 total factors going for them. So I'm taking the Steelers. But yeah, life's been boring. Again, you have a baby. This is it. Drinking a cold beer is the highlight of your day. Really quickly, I forgot to share the show. So let me do that really quick. I apologize, but I am running solo. Again, Kyle had bowling. Kyle had his Vegas trip, and then now he's got a family issue. So he is off again tonight, so I'm solo. Otherwise, I'd let him fill the space while I do the sharing. But it happens. What can you do? Next week is going to be interesting because it's the day before Thanksgiving, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, which is obviously a huge day. What did I name this episode, George? The Effort. That's right. George didn't name the show on Facebook. Shame on you, George. That's deducting a point. It is The Effort because I went to type it up and I forgot. It's not showing up. It's just showing a dot. So we'll have to check the stats on that one because I'm seeing just a dot here, George. The Effort starts now. Thank you for watching. That's my classic thing. The being nice at the end of all my posts like that is because I learned that from the man, the myth, the legend, Elvis Presley. So when I'm looking here on Facebook, I'll show you. You could see that. My screen's a little dirty. It just says a dot. So talking about balls, dot. That's it. It's just a period. I don't know. It's not showing up. I see it at the top on StreamYard, but on Facebook, it's not showing up. I don't know. Take it up with Zuck, the Zuckerberg. He's probably anti-Trump, so he's not going to get a cool position because pretty much if you're just cool with him, you could get any job. It would be cool if Zuckerberg worked in the government, though. I like that guy. Seems like he cares about shit. He's not he's a weirdo, don't get me wrong. Super weirdo, but could be worse. All right, just sharing the show. Yeah, I don't know. It's not showing up. It's too late now, George. I'm already in too deep with the sharing. I already copied and pasted, and I have it in the groups and all that. So it is what it is. It's not a big deal. I wrote it in the title. I write The Effort, so it's all good. Yeah, so let's share that now to radio groups. Bop, bop, bop. We're going to do that. I am excited to do this episode today because there is a lot to talk about sports-wise. My life has been super boring, but sports, plenty. Plenty. Look up podcast really quick. And boom, boom, boom. George is sending me evidence here on my phone. I can't click it yet, though. Give me a second, Georgie. I'll check it out. I trust you. Again, it's just not showing up on my end. I'll refresh Facebook. I'm sure it's going to be there, but for right now, I'm in too deep. I was already in the sharing mood. Couldn't do anything. Excuse-moi. Okay, now it does say The Effort. Good call, George, but it wasn't showing up at first. But you get your point back. Check. All right. My sister's messaging me about Peacock. I let her use my Peacock account, and she is starting Yellowstone from the beginning, and she's very interested in that show. And I have the Peacock with ads, and she's like, "Hey, will you just pay extra? I'll reimburse you, but just pay extra. I don't want fucking ads on there." And she said, "Before Tara kills you," because Tara and I got in a nice little discussion today. So let me preface also with this. There's a lot of people in the comments that probably think we're having like a serious argument. I swear to God, it's not like that at all. We were not arguing with it at all. I walked in the door from work. Long story short, Tara and I, our deal was Friday and Saturday. I take care of Teddy in the middle of the night. Tara does Monday through Friday. It's a really good deal. It really is for me. It's a great deal. However, 99% of the time when she wakes up crying, even though I don't have to get out of bed, totally different. I understand apples to oranges. When she's crying, I still wake up because of her baby monitor going off, like her little screen thing. So it lights up because it shows her live video. If she's moving, if she's crying, it plays the sound. And we're not that far away from her bedroom. So if she's crying, I not only hear it in real time, I hear the monitor going off. So I'm hearing like an echoed crying, so it wakes me up naturally. But then again, because it's, Tara's nights, I'll just go back to sleep on work night. And I get Fridays and Saturdays to take care of her. I started thinking about that, and I was like, kind of sucks, if I'm being honest, for me, because I get up at 6 o'clock every day for work. My own doing, I understand that. I usually stay up till midnight most nights. I don't like sleeping. I like sleeping, but I don't like going to bed. It's a weird fight that I have with myself every day. In my head, when I wake up, I'm like, you know what? We have nothing to do tonight. Let's be in bed by 9 o'clock. I want to read a book. I'll go to sleep at 10. Never, ever, ever happens. Very rarely do I ever go to bed before 11 o'clock. So I thought about that, and I was like, well, that kind of sucks, because then on the weekends is when I'm supposed to be like, all right, cool, now I can sleep in a little bit. I can have some drinks, whatever. Instead, it's like, well, no, I can't really do anything because I have to take care of her. And then she's going to wake up at 7 o'clock on Saturday anyway. So now I'm tired every day of the week. I don't get one day to sleep in ever. And again, I understand it's the same thing for Tara. Like, she'll take care of her during the week. She's got to get up at 7 o'clock every day. But then on the weekends, she gets that little bit of a break. I don't really get that break because the weekends is me taking care of her, getting her up when she wakes up. And then during the week, I'm up at 6 o'clock before everybody to go to work anyway. So I was like, I'd like a change on that. And I know Tara's been extra tired. So I was like, let's make a deal. Every other night. Just switch it up every other night. You and I. I'll take care of her this night. And so far, it's been pretty good. I have tonight, actually. Not too bad. Monday sucked. She woke up at like 5:30. Woke up a couple times in the middle of the night, but whatever. I think actually, no, Monday it sucked. I think she has like a sixth sense. She could tell when I was getting ready to fall asleep, because I swear to God, I was watching the Monday Night Football game. I had some bets going on the Texans and the Cowboys game, so I stayed up to watch that game. The game ended at 11:30. I sat on my phone for a little bit till about midnight, got ready to go to sleep. Actually, it was about 11:30. I probably went to bed, and I woke up at about 11:45 because she started crying, and I'm like, oh fuck! I just fell asleep. She was cool. She put herself back to sleep. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going back to bed. Fall back asleep. 12:15 wakes me up crying. I'm like, dude, what is this going to be? One of those nights where it's just every fucking time I fall asleep, she wakes me up. And I went in there. I rocked her back to sleep at 12:30 or whatever. Went to bed. Got up. She woke up at 5:30. So I just got up with her, rocked her back to sleep again, and then I went to work. So, wasn't bad. Last night, though, I feel bad for Tara. Last night sucked. Teddy she was sick. She got her flu shot on Monday at her 9-month appointment. So I'm wondering if it's just the residuals from that's causing her to have this stuffy nose or this runny nose, because she's fine. She has no fever. Her attitude, temperament, everything's good. It's just she has a runny nose. Whatever, extra snot. So last night I put her to bed like I normally do on a Tuesday. She was great. About 8 o'clock, went to sleep. And then right at about 11:30, I think, she started getting really pissy, like hard crying. So we went in there. Tara took care of her first. I went in there. I took care of her. Held her for I don't know, a half hour, 45 minutes. And then, it was I was getting close to midnight. And I put her down. As soon as I set her down, she was asleep in my arms. I set her down, starts crying. She does that a lot. So I go into the bedroom. I told Tara, I'm like, listen, I'm really sorry, but it's your night. I have to get some sleep. I got to go to bed. It's already after midnight. I was up. I got 4 hours of sleep the night before. I'm like, I got to go to bed. So I went to sleep. Teddy woke up 5 times in the middle of the night. Feel bad for Tara. But it is what it is. I'm probably going to get my comeuppance today. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think it's a good system. It helped out because that meant on Friday when Tara took me out, I got nice and drunk. Again, I had a bunch of Moosehead beers. I went to Solid Gold. I had a bunch of vodka tonics. Came home for the Paul Tyson fight. It was a great time. Got to go to sleep. Had to wake up at 7 because of Teddy, but it was still cool. So yeah, it happens. That's just being a parent. Your days of sleeping are done. I fully understand that. I just hope this kid's a good sleeper when she gets a little older. And I'm looking forward to her to be out of the phase of waking up every day at fucking in the middle of the night. At least once a night she wakes up for no reason, honest to God. A lot of the time, she'll just wake up, start yelling, and then if you give her like 20 minutes, she'll put herself back to sleep. She doesn't want anything. She doesn't want to eat. She doesn't want anything to drink. She wants just to yell. That's honest to God. That's it. So, I don't know. She's a baby. What can you do? Oh yeah, I totally walked away from what I was saying. So last night, Teddy was a pain. Tara, of course, she's off on Wednesdays, so I get up, I go to work. Tara gets up with Teddy at 7:30, 8 o'clock, whatever, and she takes care of her during the day. And I got home from work. Teddy was napping. Tara was folding laundry, doing some towels, and she just goes, "Oh, I'm tired." And I was like, "Yeah, me too. I'm really tired. I was running the machine all day at work." Or I said something like, "Yeah, me too. I worked today. I'm tired. I'm from working." And Tara took that as a slight and immediately just goes, "Oh, and I wasn't working?" And I said, well, no, you were at home with the baby. It's hard work, but it's not like work. Two different things. I was at work is why I was tired. You were home doing stuff, still working. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking that. You are doing tasks around the house. You're taking care of the baby. I never once said that's not hard work. I straight up said, I consider a baby hard work responsibility. It's not work. It's not a job. It's hard work responsibility. I was at a job. I was working on the shop floor in the factory. I was a little tired when I came home today. I wasn't saying that as a way to go, hey, I'm going to go take a nap. You got this. I just straight up said, yeah, I'm tired too. I was tired from working. And she goes, well, and I wasn't working? I said, well, no, you were off today. You were with the baby. When I come home from work on Tuesdays and Thursdays, when Tara's gone and I have Teddy by myself at night, I don't come home and say I'm working. I just come home and take care of my daughter because that's what you do when you're a parent. She's my responsibility. So work and being a parent are two different things. Is being a parent hard work? Yes, but it's not a job. That's what I was arguing with Tara, not even an argument. And she just immediately goes, you want me to put that on Facebook and so you could piss off a lot of people? And I said, sure, do it. Because I said, I'll defend. It's the way I worded it that I you're just trying to make it sound like I'm saying that being staying home with the baby is not work. I never once said that. I just said there's a difference between you didn't work today. You were home with the child. You had an off day from work. I did not have an off day from work. That's all I was saying. She works Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, she does not work. Simple. That's how I look at it. I work Monday through Friday. I do not work Saturday and Sunday. Simple. When I'm watching Teddy or taking care of her, I don't consider it work. It's just what you do. It's your responsibility. And I had some comments from some ladies. One of them was my cousin, and she said, at the end of the day, isn't your job a responsibility too? And it's like, well, no, it's not, because I could just stop going there. They're going to be fine. They'll keep running. I won't have money, but they'll be fine. If I stop taking care of my child, bad things happen. That's a responsibility. Your job is just something, it's an obligation. A child is a responsibility. That's how I look at it, at least. There's a million jobs out there for people. So I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. But that was the way she worded it on Facebook, was as if I walked in and I said something like, you didn't work. You didn't do anything today. You were home with the kid. I never once, not even close, not even remotely close, did I try to downplay the amount of effort and tiredness that goes into taking care of a child. Never once was that the case. Did she word it that way to, of course, get everyone on her side? Obviously she did. So it is what it is. I don't care. I answered a couple people, but I didn't have time to respond to everybody, because again, there were people on there like, they're all joking around and they're like, oh, is he sleeping on the couch tonight and blah blah blah. And it's like, it really wasn't a serious conversation. It was just like an in passing discussion that we had. And I don't know. I'll die on this hill if I have to. You guys know me. I'm stubborn. I'll never once change my tune. I never once said that taking care of your child is not hard work. I just said it is not a job. Plain and simple. I got up. I went to my job for 8 hours, and then I came home to be with my family and to take care of my daughter. I fed her dinner. I played with her. I've wiped her nose. I was sucking boogers out of her nose with her little machine that she has, doing all that. But again, I don't claim that I work two jobs. I work at my job at home or at work, and then I come home to just be a parent. I don't know. Again, it is hard work. It is exhausting. Any stay-at-home mother, any stay-at-home father, any single parent, whatever, it is hard work, and I give you all the credit in the world. I fully understand how hard it is. I'm a parent now. I get it. But again, she tried to make it out like I was saying that being a mom or a stay-at-home mom, whatever, is easy, and there's nothing to it. I never, ever, ever once said that. I never once downplayed the amount of effort and things, downplayed the effort or the amount of things that get done around the house. While I'm at work, I totally appreciate it. I do stuff too. Again, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm here alone, so I'm doing the cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm getting things ready. I do what I can around here too. It's a split effort. I get 2 days off during the week. She gets 4. So she has a little more time to be here all day. So I get it. I'd love that. I always argue with her that if, this was another argument we got into. If I ever came into a good amount of money to where I could quit my job and live off of that money, she was like, wait, you would quit your job if you came into money? I'm like, yeah. She's like, why couldn't I quit and be a stay-at-home mom? And I'm like, well, because I'd want to quit. Who wouldn't? And she's like, well, I'd want to quit too. I'm like, well, you do hair. You kind of like it. You get to hang out with your friends and like people you know and like. Like, I like people at my work too, but like, yeah, I don't want to go there. I'd rather be home any day of the week. That's an argument and discussion for another day. But yeah, so for her Facebook post, if any of you guys have seen it, she totally misquoted me. She completely lied and implicated that I was basically saying that being a stay-at-home mother is easy and there's nothing to it. Not even a stay-at-home mother because she's not, but being home with a child all day is easy and there's nothing to it. Not at all what I said. Not even close, but that's how she wanted to word it because it fits her narrative to help her win the argument. So if that's what makes you feel better, good for you. All right, moving on to the shit show that is known as the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns play the New Orleans Saints. Kyle, in a crazy, crazy, crazy circumstance, took the Browns to win the game -1.5. No idea. How Vegas had us at -1.5 as the favorite was fucking mind-boggling to me. I picked our picks were listed. At least, no, they weren't. I never posted them publicly. We'll go over the picks then for next week or from last week. But I picked the Saints. Pretty easy. I didn't touch the spread, but I picked the Saints to win outright. Sure enough, they did. The Saints didn't even win. Taysom Hill won. As George depicted in the pictures here, you could see the ass whooping that Taysom Hill put on Juan Thornhill. Juan Thornhill's taken a lot of heat. I'll get into that. But overall, the Browns, it was a competitive game. It was 14-14 for the longest time going into like the fourth quarter or whatever. And then the Browns, the wheels fell off. And next thing you know, it's 35-14. The Browns lose. Crazy. It was a close game. There was actually a time where I thought, oh shit, they might pull this one out. And they didn't. They did not. Boy, did they not. Taysom Hill ran all over us. He had like 130 yards rushing. He had like 50 yards passing. He had like 30 yards receiving. I don't even remember. He had fucking huge stats, scored 3 touchdowns. He won the NFC Offensive Player of the Week. He single-handedly dominated the fucking Browns. They had no answer for him, and it goes back to when they played us in the 2022 freezing cold game in Cleveland. It was a close game at halftime. The Saints came out at halftime and said, fuck it. Let's just run the ball down their throat with Taysom Hill, and they beat us that way. So when he's healthy, he's a game changer for them, but his issue is he doesn't stay healthy. And he also makes a lot of mistakes that other teams would be able to capitalize on where the Browns could not. So Taysom Hill had 2 turnovers also. He had 3 touchdowns, 2 turnovers, and they still won 35-14 because the Browns just couldn't do anything. The Jameis Winston experiment is over for me. I've accepted that this guy has no future here with the Cleveland Browns. At least when Joe Flacco was here, you're like, hey, we're winning. It's fun. He's doing great. Jameis Winston threw for like almost 400 fucking yards. Still lost. Kyle, what's up, dude? Thank you for checking in. Hope all's well. And he every game, the things that irritates me with Jameis Winston is I'm over him already. I think I'm just over this whole season. So, as I said earlier, I could care less about the game tomorrow. I keep forgetting that it's a game. Honestly, I keep forgetting that the Browns are playing tomorrow night. before the game, they interview Jameis, and he has this. You could tell that he's determined what he's going to say beforehand, so he keeps repeating the same lines, and it's always something weird and preachy, and about how God put him here in this position, blah blah. And that's fine. I don't judge people if you're religious. If you want to thank God, whatever, that's your prerogative. I don't care. But he does it every game. He acts like a fucking psychopath. He just stares straight ahead, and he's always like, "Oh, we're here on this glorious path that God put us on," and like it's just the dumbest shit. He's like preaching. It's a gospel sermon, and then he goes up there and sucks, and we lose the game again. Yeah, he threw for 300 yards, whatever, but we still lost. I think he had a couple turnovers. I don't know. I'm over the whole thing. He's a fucking weird dude. Everyone loves him. That's the whole thing. Is everyone's like, "Oh, he's such a great teammate." That's great. I'd be a good teammate too. I'm a pretty good dude. People like me. I bet if I were on a team in the NFL, I could get people to like me. Does that mean I'm good and should be playing in the NFL? No, but I could get people to like me. That doesn't seem that hard. So for that, if that's his only, he had 0 turnovers. I thought he had a fumble, unless I'm mistaken. I don't remember. I half watched the game. I truly did. I had it on in the living room for a little bit. Then I went outside and I started a fire. I had my phone up. I was playing it on a little speaker, so I wasn't really watching it. Then the wheels fell off, and then I came inside right after the game ended, and I kept watching it. I went and sat on my deck. But yeah, I don't know. I felt like he had turnovers. I thought he had a fumble, like a costly fumble. Yeah, no, it feels like it. Tomorrow will be a different story. Either way, I mean, he had 400 yards. He missed touchdowns. Dustin Hopkins missed some chip shot field goals. Not that they would have mattered, because again, it was 35-14. So 2 field goals put you up. What do you get? You get 20 points. So you lose 35-20. Whatever. I'm honestly done with this season. I named this episode "The Effort" because the Browns looked like they put in 0 effort on Sunday. And in the picture right there, you see number 1. Juan Thornhill, a huge free agent signing for the Browns last offseason from the Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl champion. You're getting a safety, a much-needed position to help bolster your secondary, and he missed most of last season with injury. Came into this year, missed most of the beginning of the season, the first month or so at least, and then there were clips that are going viral from Sunday of him jogging. There was a touchdown that the Saints had where he is visibly jogging, putting 0 effort in, has no intentions of trying to catch anybody. It might even be from that one at the bottom there. I don't remember which play it was. I think it was a different touchdown, actually. I think it was to a wide receiver. But Taysom Hill right there, stiff-arming him. Taysom Hill outrunning him down there at the bottom. Just so many embarrassing things that happened for this team that Jim Schwartz needs to answer to. But realistically, it looks like the season is over, but it looks like they have quit on the season. And that's why I named this episode "The Effort," because it looked like there was no effort being put in by anybody other than really Denzel Ward. Denzel Ward had a really good game. He had an interception. He had a lot of pass breakups. Looked really good. He played great. But again, 35-20 or 14, it doesn't matter. I'm okay with the loss because I've fully thrown in the towel. The season is over. I said it weeks ago. I am strictly playing for draft picks. Every loss is a win. The closer you get to the number 1 overall pick, the better situation you are. We are in a situation, there's a lot of fans out there that are going, "Well, what are we going to do? You have Deshaun Watson's contract. What are you supposed to do?" You fucking move on. Look at the Denver Broncos, a team that I never thought I'd be saying this. The Denver Broncos are in a spot to be a playoff contender. Bo Nix just threw 4 touchdowns and won AFC Offensive Player of the Week. Bo Nix was the 12th overall pick, I think, or 11th, whatever. He was a first-round pick in the top 15, at least, from the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos had Russell Wilson. They traded for him. They wasted draft picks on him. They gave him a huge contract. They traded draft picks to get Sean Payton. They didn't give a fuck about draft picks. They rebuilt their team. They got rid of Russell Wilson, who they still are paying. He's still affecting their salary cap. They drafted a rookie quarterback, and if you have the right coach and the right players around them, your quarterback will carry you wherever you need to go. It's that simple. I know there's obviously other variables. Okay, so it's not that simple. But if you have a really, really good quarterback, you could win with just about anybody. Look at the Patriots. Look at Tom Brady. How many years did he dominate in the NFL? How many different teammates did he have all over in important positions? They were getting rid of good players all the time. They had Randy Moss for a couple of years. Then he turned Wes Welker into a stud. He turned Julian Edelman into a stud. He was turning these guys into freaks. And not just wide receivers. all over the field. They had really good players for a couple years. Then the Patriots weren't paying them. They let them go. They traded Richard Seymour. They had Albert Haynesworth. They had so many good players that they would just go, okay, we'll use you for your time here on your contract, and we're going to let you go. See ya. And it works when you have a really good team. I know I'm comparing the Browns to Tom Brady, which is, not easy to find a guy like that. And I'm not holding my breath that we're going to draft a Tom Brady in this upcoming draft, but you got to give yourself the opportunity. You now have first-round draft picks back. Go get your quarterback. Deshaun Watson's days are done in Cleveland. If you keep him on the team, that is what it is. He's your third quarterback. Who cares? He should realistically never see the field, and if you have to put him on the field, that means something bad happened. So your season's over anyway, so what's the matter? You got to pay the guy. One way or another, you got to pay the guy. There's no way a team's going to take on his contract in a trade. You're stuck with him. Keep him on the roster. Who cares? But the rest of the team, again, it looks like they quit. Juan Thornhill was jogging. Juan Thornhill signed a 3-year contract, technically 2 years to play with an option. There's no way he comes back. So Juan Thornhill will not be on the team. Jedrick Wills, a couple of weeks ago, I don't think we got to talk about that. He said he sat out the Ravens game because it was a business decision. And of course, the media took that and ran with it. I don't blame him. It is a business decision. At that time, we had one win. Jed Wills is in a contract year. He's on his final year of his player option for his contract. He is going to be a free agent. There is almost no chance the Browns even think about offering him a contract to stay. So he's looking at it as, I'm hurt. Do I risk a further serious injury that could potentially harm me in the future, or do I sit this game out to get healthy? Because if he gets hurt, and let's say it's a knee injury, he's got a fucked up knee, let's say he tears his ACL or anything bad happens that costs him a full season. He now does not have there's a good chance he doesn't get a contract next year. So it's a business decision to not play and stay healthy. If we were in a playoff contention, if we were good, he would have played. But you make a business decision, which is funny, really funny to me, that the people that are bashing on Jedrick Wills are not bashing on Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's final year in Cleveland, he was clearly, visibly injured. He kept going out there. Then in the final week of the season was over. It was a lost cause. He had played every game up until that final game, and then he made a business decision, and he sat out the last game of the season. No one batted an eye. All anyone did was blame Stefanski and Barry and said, why did they let this guy play every week? Why did they do this? Why did they do that? No ill will towards Baker. Jed Wills does the same thing. Jed Wills says, I made a business decision to sit out that game to get healthy, and everyone's ripping him a new asshole and talking about it. It is what it is. I don't mind. Again, we suck. If other guys decide to do that, I totally don't care. Myles Garrett has no shot at winning Defensive Player of the Year this year. No shot. Stop playing. You're hurt. Don't risk a further injury. Denzel Ward, you've got 1 million concussions. What are you playing for? The Pro Bowl? That's the only thing that these guys play for, though, at this point. Those roster bonuses. If you play a certain amount of snaps, if you make the Pro Bowl, if you make an all-pro team, etc., you get extra compensation, which good for them. But if it's huge, these guys already have gigantic contracts. If it's huge, life-changing money, then go for it. But if you're Myles Garrett, you're Denzel Ward, you're set for life. You've already had your major contracts with more coming, probably. Why play this year? Why get hurt? If, God forbid, and I'm knocking on wood, at least this, whatever this material is, it's supposed to be wood. If, God forbid, a horrific injury happens to one of our players in like week fucking 15 or something like that, and that's going to cost them like next season too, I'm going to be devastated. I mean, there's already JOK. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, he had that neck injury against the Ravens. He got carted off the field. And now there's rumors circulating that he might be forced to retire. The neck injury was that bad, he might never play football again. Horrific. In a 2-win season. Looking at the schedule, looking ahead at the Browns' schedule, there's a really good chance the Browns never win a game this year. Or another game. They do not win another game. So Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah sacrificed his entire career after earning a great contract extension to be a Cleveland Brown for a long time, arguably our best defensive player this year, or at least one of. And he might have to retire. That neck injury was so bad. So it's shit like that I get it. That's why Jedrick Wills made a business decision. Because if, God forbid, Jedrick Wills had an injury that cost him most of his life or the rest of his career, he's going to be devastated. He didn't get that huge contract. He got a great rookie contract. Jedrick Wills did. Don't get me wrong. If you're smart, you could live off of that. However, not the case. I forgot what else I had for the Browns. I didn't write it down. I jotted it down on my notepad. So let me pull that up. I think that might have been it. Yeah, the Browns look like they quit. The Saints beat the shit out of them. JOK might have to retire. Jedrick Wills said he made a business decision. Jedrick Wills is not playing tomorrow night. He is also still hurt, didn't practice, and he is officially ruled out. DeJuan Jones broke his leg. He is out for the rest of the season. And we are down to our third or fourth string left tackle for tomorrow night's game against TJ Watt and the Steelers. The only good thing is Alex Highsmith, I believe, is still out. And TJ Watt is less of a player when he doesn't have Alex Highsmith out there because Alex Highsmith is better. I'm being honest here. I know Steeler fans like to argue. Alex Highsmith is a more impactful player that teams actually like game plan for more than TJ Watt. That's why TJ Watt's able to clean up so much. That's why you'll see so many plays of TJ Watt coming in unblocked because teams are focusing their blocking schemes on Alex Highsmith. And without Alex Highsmith, there's a steady decline in TJ Watt's productivity. But neither here nor there. Steeler fans don't want to hear about that. They don't want to argue. They just say, TJ Watt's better. Then whatever. I'm over that argument. We'll talk more about that later because there was a little back and forth between Myles Garrett and TJ Watt. George, try to not let me forget to talk about that at the end of the episode because I will forget. 100% I will forget. But I want to talk about it because I was going down a Twitter rabbit hole. Fuck it. Let's just talk about it now. It's my show. I can do whatever I want. Fuck the format. We are going to talk Steelers-Browns later, but for right now, you could throw up a Browns-Steelers photo here, George. It's relevant to them. So last year, TJ Watt won Defensive Player of the Year. Or Myles Garrett, I'm sorry. TJ Watt stayed at home and cried on Twitter like a little pussy. And that's why I call him, I don't call him TJ Watt. I combine the letters. It's just twat. T-Watt, twat. So Twat stayed at home and went on Twitter and cried about how, everyone's against him or whatever the fuck. It's not anything I'm not used to or something like that. He's just, cry me a river because he didn't win Defensive Player of the Year. They gave it to Myles Garrett, who had a great season. So, of course, he cried about it, whatever. Nobody really said anything. No one cares. Myles Garrett won at the end of the day. What's the point of arguing and talking about it a year later? What does it change? Is the NFL going to go, you know what? We looked at your tweet and we thought about it. You're right. Myles, give us that trophy back. Not how it works. It's over. Move the fuck on, you losers. So the media asked Myles Garrett about that. They said, hey, you're facing the Steelers for the first time since winning your Defensive Player of the Year award. What are your thoughts on TJ Watt's comments, blah, 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 from last year? And Myles Garrett just basically said something like, I personally don't really care about the trophies in other people's homes. I forgot exactly his full quote, but he basically just said that, like, who cares? Like, I won. It is what it is. Why does anyone care about what's going on with me? Worry about yourself, basically, is what he said in a roundabout way. Of course, the media ran with that and said to TJ, hey, TJ, Myles Garrett said this. What do you think about that? And TJ Watt basically just said, hey, you know what? We don't face each other. We play on opposite parts of the field. Like, we're never on the field at the same time. He's a great player, whatever. We're worried about, we're focused on tomorrow's game. So, of course, Steeler fans take that and go, Myles Garrett's a piece of shit. TJ Watt, he's such a good player. That's why he's focused in on the game, blah, blah, blah. Myles Garrett didn't bring it up. Myles Garrett didn't care. They asked him. He just answered a question, and he didn't say anything derogatory or negative. He literally just said the truth. He said, I'm not worried about the trophies in other people's houses. Like, I'm worried about my team and whatever. Perfectly fine answer. So it's a double-edged sword in sports because I personally, I tend to love the coaches that are honest. Bill Belichick is known for being blunt, and he was a on to Cincinnati guy. If you ask him a question, he's just on to Cincinnati. Kevin Stefanski is the most boring interview, press conference, whatever you want to call it, ever. Every time after a game, hey, Kevin, you guys lost. What happened on this play? I got to check the tape. I'm going to have to check the tape, and I'll get back to you. We're going to work on it as a team. This loss wasn't on me. This loss was on me. It was on our entire team. It's a team game. It's the same shit every week. When coaches are going rogue and saying fun shit, I love that. I find it a nice change of pace. Can they do it in a way that gets annoying after a while? Sure. Look at Mike McDaniel down in Miami. Initially, he was cool. He's this young, hip coach. Hip. I'm 35. I said hip. What the fuck's wrong with me? You have this young coach who's being funny at the press conferences, stuff like that. Then you're not winning. It's kind of like, all right, I'm over it. I don't need to hear this anymore. It's not working. You got to have a little bit of success if you're going to be fun. That's the same thing with Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston, known for these great pep talks and the funny interviews before the game and shit like that. And he's a great teammate, blah, blah, blah. Then we lose. I'm over it. I don't need you to interview fucking Jameis tomorrow night before the game just for him to give some stupid-ass bullshit quote and then to, give a Bible verse and talk about this shit just for us to go out there and fucking get smoked. Who cares? I don't need that. Interview somebody else. Or don't interview anybody at all, because when you interview somebody before the game or even at halftime, they do those fucking interviews, it's the same shit. It's all boring. It's, oh, well, we need to play better defense and we need to capitalize on those turnovers and we're going to, try to make an effort in the second half. Done. That's the same shit. Every coach does the same fucking thing. So speaking of the Browns and quitting, there's a lot of talk. We'll talk more about it next week. I think I take that back. We might not be able to talk about it next week because there's rumblings in Cleveland through the fans. I think it's just through the fans that if the Browns get embarrassed tomorrow night, Kevin Stefanski's days are done. And I don't mean they'll let him go at the end of the season. I mean, he could be fired tomorrow night if things go really south. I love Kevin Stefanski. I think he's a great coach. I do think, though, that don't get me wrong, we just won 11 games last year. We were a playoff team. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and I think Jimmy Haslam is an impatient, desperate man. He wants to win. He's owned this team for a long time. They've only been to the playoffs twice. One playoff win, not enough. I feel like he is an impatient person, and he demands results. Rightfully so. You paid $1 billion+ for this football team. You are investing hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars into a new stadium. You have already invested hundreds and hundreds of millions into this team. You demand results. I get it. Stefanski has produced pretty decent results. The people that have not produced, in my opinion, are Paul DePodesta and Andrew Berry. We could go here all day. As I talked earlier, Juan Thornhill, huge free agent signing. Horrible bust. Who brought him in? A collaborative effort of Paul DePodesta and Andrew Berry, our general manager. Jedrick Wills, everyone hates him. Made a business decision. He's a bum. He shouldn't even be in the NFL. He sucks. Browns can't wait to get rid of him. Who drafted him? Andrew Berry. A lot of the complaints people have, Andrew Berry. We let I forgot his name, Alex Van Pelt. We let our offensive coordinator go to bring in Ken Dorsey. Whose decision was that? My understanding, Paul DePodesta. We went all in on Deshaun Watson. Paul DePodesta. I'm not knocking that one. I get it. The Jets did the same thing. NFL doesn't want to admit it because Aaron Rodgers doesn't come with the same baggage that Deshaun Watson did. But the Jets traded multiple high draft picks. They gave a huge contract. And there is a butterfly effect. Aaron Rodgers got his friends hired. He got his friends signed to contracts, traded to the Jets, just for them to be terrible. They have now fired their head coach. They fired their general manager. They are in shambles. They are a team that have not made the playoffs in almost 2 decades. The Browns at least have some success. The Browns have been to the playoffs twice in the last 5 years with a win. So the Jets fired everybody. They went all in on Aaron Rodgers. Didn't work out. Okay. You swung for the fences and you missed. It happens. Browns did the same thing. They swung for the fences, but they still have a decent structure. I think Kevin Stefanski is still a really good coach. Obviously, Myles Garrett's not going anywhere. He's under contract. David Njoku, Jerry Jeudy, these guys aren't going anywhere. You have Joel Bitonio. You have Wyatt Teller for now. I could see Wyatt Teller being a cap casualty next year. Excuse me. Obviously, you got Denzel Ward. You've got all these players. You have guys that are going to be here. You have talented players. You have hopefully Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. But you have these guys that are going to be here. Your window isn't closed. The Jets don't have much of a window. Look at their roster. And this is just, I know I shit on the Jets all the time, but their roster sucks. They have Sauce Gardner, great player. Garrett Wilson, great wide receiver. They have Breece Hall is a decent running back. He was very overhyped, but he's good. Quinnen Williams, one of the best defensive tackles in football. And that's about it. The rest of their team is average to below average at best. So that's not enough. Browns have a little bit more than that. The Browns are coming off a year where they had arguably the best defense in football. Their offense was pretty good with 6 different quarterbacks, 5 different quarterbacks, whatever. That's a coaching thing. Kevin Stefanski, in my opinion, played it very well. So Stefanski is on the hot seat from what the reports are, and if they lose badly tomorrow, he's gone. However, Kevin Stefanski basically told everybody in the world, hey, fuck you. It's clearly not my problem. Because the Browns' offense was ass. The Browns' offense was averaging 17 points a game for the first 5 weeks of the year until Deshaun Watson got hurt. Then they switched. Play calling went to Ken Dorsey. And everyone's going, okay, here we go. What are we doing? What did we score on Sunday? 14 points. What did we score against the Chargers? 10 points. We're still not scoring points. Who's running the offense? Ken Dorsey. Why is the offense scoring less than 20 points? What's the only common denominator on what changed in the offseason? Ken Dorsey. Pretty simple to me. I don't understand how Browns fans don't get it, and they want to blame Kevin Stefanski. I'm sick of trying to teach people how to fucking see things. You're all adults. You all, I assume, have 2 working eyes. Even if you don't. Even if you're Stevie Wonder, you can listen to a game and you can understand that the only thing that changed from last year is Ken Dorsey came in and implemented his offense. What's been horrible this season? The offense. Kevin Stefanski even said, here, that's your offense. You run it how you want it to be ran. You call the plays. Let's get some points. 14 points, 10 points. Okay, nothing's changed. The only reason, or the only thing that changed was Ken Dorsey. And everyone out there is saying, oh, Kevin Stefanski should be fired because Mike Vrabel came down to New Orleans on Sunday and was on the sidelines. So everyone and their brother just is now saying, all right, it's time for fire Kevin Stefanski, make Mike Vrabel the interim head coach, and then in the offseason, fire everybody but Vrabel and let him build his own staff. That's the rumors. Everybody and their brother is talking about it now because you suck. You're a 2-win team. I don't know, George. It shouldn't, but it probably will. I think you're right. But to me, it's the clear thing is Ken Dorsey. But again, I'm not happy with Andrew Berry and the decisions that he's made. Is he a genius when it comes to managing the cap and making these trades? Getting Amari Cooper for next to nothing and then trading him for more than you brought him in for 2 years later. Impressive. What's he going to do with those draft picks? That's where I'm a little don't really trust that guy. And I know it's water under the bridge. He's long gone. John Dorsey, a different Dorsey, is in Detroit, and he has built a legit Super Bowl contending team with a good head coach, found talent, got a quarterback who was basically tossed aside into the trash, and they're doing shit. He was here in Cleveland building a team, and the Browns said, we're going to move on. We're going to bring in, if the rumors are true, they let Baker Mayfield pick the head coach, and that was the dagger. When you let the quarterback who isn't very good, he's good, not great, call the shots like the Jets did with Aaron Rodgers, recipe for disaster. The Browns did that with Baker Mayfield in his, 3rd year in the NFL. They let him pick his head coach and call the shots, and it was a fucking dumpster fire. It got everybody fired. It set us back. What can you do? So I'm worried the Browns are going to make some crazy decisions, which I'm kind of anticipating to happen now at this point, just because of how much they're talking about it. It is what it is. Kevin Stefanski, I love him as a coach. I think he can get fired today. He could go find a new job next year. No problem. And I will wish him well because I know it wasn't his fault. What can you do? But the number one thing for me is Paul DePodesta needs to be fired this offseason. Or not even fired. His contract expires. Do not renew Paul DePodesta. If the Browns do that, I am going to be a very, very disgruntled fan. He is my number one target that I want the fuck off our payroll. I was going to say I want him out of Cleveland, but he doesn't even live here. He lives in San Diego. He gets to get paid to sit at his nice house in San Diego and make bad decisions for the Browns. Are you fucking kidding me? What a cool job. That's almost as cool as Austin Hedges. Austin Hedges gets paid to be an automatic out in Major League Baseball. How fucking cool. However, Austin Hedges still has to get on that catcher's gear on hot days, crouch down, catch, get balls deflected off his nuts, his inner thighs. That sucks. He's earning his paycheck at least, he just got a new contract extension to come to Cleveland for next year. Mike Holmgren at least was here. He was in Cleveland. Was he wearing a mask every day because he came to work robbing the Browns? Yes, but he at least was in town. He lived in Cleveland. He was at the office every day, albeit probably not till about noon when he strolled in after going to Dunkin' Donuts, but he was still here. Paul DePodesta lives in San Diego and tells the Browns what to do. And how's that worked? How's it going? And I saw a tweet, I think I talked about it on the show, maybe I didn't, but I saw a tweet that basically ran down Paul DePodesta's career, and they said, Paul DePodesta was made famous for the movie Moneyball, where he went to Oakland, helped build this team that won nothing, 0 championships. Then he decided to move to the Browns. He's won nothing, but they're all still like, oh, we have this genius in Paul DePodesta. He's a fucking career loser. What's he built? What the fuck has he done? And he's getting paid a lot of money to make the biggest decisions for my football team. And it's not going well. It's not going well at all. So that's your take on the current Cleveland Browns climate. I'm pissed. I'm depleted. I am defeated. I have nothing left in me. It is what it is. Again, I could care less about tomorrow's game. I am picking the Browns to lose every single game for the rest of the year. You heard it here first. More than likely even going to pick the spread because I could see these games not being close. Spoiler alert when we do our picks. I am taking the Steelers, and I can't fucking believe that Vegas has it at only -3.5 for Pittsburgh. I could see the Pittsburgh Steelers winning by at least 2 touchdowns or 2 scores. So I am, spoiler alert, locking that in now. I hear Teddy crying. She's fighting sleep, Tara said, so that's not great. Not a great sign. It's already 8 o'clock. Little shit should be asleep. Let's move on to the rest of the NFL. I think that's the order I had it in, George. I apologize, but let's do it. Let's go over picks really quick. Yes. So Joe Douglas got fired. I talked about that. Danny Dimes got benched by the New York Giants. They're doing it, which is funny. Business decision. Joe Douglas got fired again because he sucked. He went all in on Aaron Rodgers and then let Aaron Rodgers call the shots. He hired Nathaniel Hackett. He hired or signed, traded for whatever, got Alan Lazard a big contract. He traded for Devontae Adams. He did all these stupid moves because Aaron Rodgers wanted him to, and they meant nothing. They fired Robert Saleh. They went from having one of the best defenses in football with Robert Saleh, who is a defensive-minded coach, and their defensive coordinator, I forgot his name, their current interim head coach. They fire Saleh, promote the interim defensive coordinator to interim head coach. So now they have a different person running the defense, and their defense sucks ass. They just got fucking blown out over the weekend. Again, they're a 3-win team. They're trash. So Joe Douglas got fired now. So the Jets are in a full rebuild. It's safe to say Aaron Rodgers won't be their quarterback next year, I would think, at 40-plus years old. He looks washed as fuck. I find it really hard to believe there's don't get me wrong. There's only 32 of these jobs available, not even available. There's only 32 of these jobs in existence to be a head coach or a GM. I don't think you're going to get a long line of people coming to New York. First of all, it's a hard town to coach in because you're under the microscope. You're in one of the biggest sports cities in America. You could potentially be handcuffed to Aaron Rodgers, which isn't good. And that roster overall just isn't very good. So that's a tough rebuild. So good luck to whoever goes to New York. My first move would be, see ya, Aaron Rodgers. I'm trading you for whatever the fuck I can recoup. And then, also in New Jersey / New York, Danny Dimes has been benched by the New York Football Giants. Has Danny Dimes been terrible? Yes. Are they doing this as a Jedrick Wills, quote-unquote, business decision? Yes. Because if Danny Dimes gets hurt, they are forced to pay him a shitload of money. So they have benched him. Not only have they benched him, they have demoted him to 3rd string. And I believe they're going to not even let him practice because they don't want him getting hurt on the practice field. They also skipped their backup quarterback, Drew Lock, for being their new starter. They have moved to Tommy DeVito. Tommy Cutlets, as they called him last year, who was a fucking stiff. The reason they did that? Because Drew Lock has an incentive-based contract where if he plays a certain amount of snaps, if he throws for a certain amount of yards and touchdowns, they're going to have to pay him hundreds of thousands of dollars. Then the Giants said, nah, we're good. Put the bum out there. So they're going with Tommy Cutlets because it's a business decision. So when players do it, it's horrible. It's the end of the world. They're bums. They should be, ostracized out of the NFL. When the owners and the teams do it, no one says a word. They just go, it's the Giants, whatever. So that's your news for football from last week. Really, nothing else too crazy happened that I can think of. Let's get into picks. So last week, recap, the Thursday Night Football game, both Kyle and I forgot to get our picks in. I would have taken the Eagles, if I'm being honest, but we didn't do it, so we're not counting that game at all. It was Friday, I think the game had already started, and I looked and I went, oh, fuck. I texted Kyle. I said, we never got our picks in for this game, so we'll just skip it. So we agreed to skip. Packers beat the Bears, which we both had. Lions beat the Jags, which we both had. Dolphins beat the Raiders, which we both had. Rams beat the Patriots, which we both had. 35-14. The Saints beat the Browns. I had the Saints. Kyle had the Browns. I picked the Ravens, who blew it. Justin Tucker missed a couple of key field goals. They fucked up on their 2-point conversion attempt, and the Steelers win with 6 field goals, 18-16. The Minnesota Vikings win 23-13 over the Titans. We both had that. The Colts beat the Jets. Okay, they didn't get blown out, I forgot, but they blew it at the end. They let Anthony Richardson, who's a fucking bum, go right down the field and win the game. 28-27, the Jets lose. I took the Jets, as did Kyle. Kyle took the Broncos here. I took the Falcons, surprisingly, and Falcons sucked. They didn't do shit. I had Kirk Cousins in fantasy, and he got me, I think, 2 points. So thank you, Kirk, for nothing. We both took the Niners, and the Seahawks win 20-17. We both took the Bills, and the Bills beat Kansas City 30-21. On Sunday Night Football, you had a fun barn burner of a game. The Bengals made a triumphant effort to come back, but they could not beat the Chargers. The Bengals' season is all but over, and I couldn't be happier. Fuck them. 34-27, the Chargers win on Sunday Night Football. The Houston Texans win 34-10 on Monday Night Football. I missed a huge fucking bet by like 20 yards. I call a lottery ticket. When they're over 1,000, when they're plus 1,000 something, I call that a lottery ticket. I missed 2 of them by minor things this week. So Monday Night Football, I had Joe Mixon. It was a Joe Mixon lottery ticket. It was Joe Mixon to catch more than 25 yards receiving, to score 2 touchdowns, which he did in the first quarter, and to rush for 125 yards. Joe Mixon, I think, ended with like 108 yards or 105 yards rushing. Had he hit all 3 of those, it was plus 2,200. I forgot how much I bet, but you do the math. I did cash out towards the end in the fourth quarter when he was at like 85 yards. I was like, you know what? I really don't think he's going to get to 120. They were offering me a cash out, which wasn't much. It was for like 10% of the win, and I didn't have a good feeling. So I just said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm taking it. A win's a win. And so technically I still came out positive. I did win a nice little plus like 400 though on 400 bet on Monday Night Football, so that works. Yesterday though, off topic a little bit. Actually, no, it's not. We can move on. We're going to move on to the NBA anyway. So the Cavs face the Boston Celtics. I did a like fucking 12-leg parlay. Everything hit except for Darius Garland, who decided to have the worst shooting night of his life. I needed him to score 15 points, which was like a minimum. I thought, no way he doesn't score 15. He didn't, and it cost me. I had like, no bullshit, it was like a plus 1,800 bet. I think I bet, it was a boosted bet from FanDuel, so the max I could put on there was $10. Or no, it was a bonus bet. So it was a bonus bet. Max I could bet was $10 to get back. So I was like, fuck it, I bet $10. Would have won me like $200-something. Fucking Darius Garland, dude. Had like 6 points or 8 points, something like that. Needed 15. That's it, 15 points. Everything else hit. I was fucking so pissed. But what can you do? You win some, you lose some. I got the bonus bet back, so let's win it back. Cavs are great. I know I skipped a segment here, George. We'll figure that out. I just got on the topic of the betting. Cavs are really good. Cavs did lose last night, though, to the Celtics. They fall to 15-1, their first loss of the season to the Boston Celtics. A lot of moral victory people out there, which I am not a supporter of because I am realistic. People don't want to hear this. So the Cavs went into yesterday's game without Dean Wade, without Isaac Okoro, without Karis LeVert. Had to face the Celtics. Obviously, they're still without Max Strus. They go into the Garden to face the Celtics. Celtics start off hot. The Cavs, the number one bugaboo for the Cavs is their perimeter defense is garbage. The Celtics were hitting threes at a record pace. They went into halftime with a near 20-point lead. The Cavs made a huge comeback. They never took the lead, but they kept it within 2 points towards the end. And then they just couldn't hit shots. Darius Garland, for some reason, decided to try to play hero ball, even though he was having a horrendous night shooting. And the Celtics ran away with the game. Okay, Cavs lose. Technically, the score was what did it show? A 3-point loss, but the Cavs made a great comeback. It was cool. However, there are people out there going, this just shows me the Cavs at full strength can compete with anybody, blah, blah, blah. If Darius Garland had a better night, the Cavs win that game easily, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I can listen to that argument. On the flip side, though, Boston Celtics are without one of their best players, Kristaps Porzingis. He's out. He had ankle surgery when they won the championship last year. He is close to returning. He is a really good player, especially on that team. You don't think adding him makes them even better? So we already couldn't beat them last night. Yes, we were missing some pieces. Yes, Darius Garland had a bad game, but they were also missing one of their best players. We weren't missing one of our best players. Max Strus is a good player. Karis LeVert is a good player. Isaac Okoro, good. Dean Wade, good. Kristaps Porzingis, a little bit better than good. He's more impactful. So, I don't know. I look at it from both angles. Sure. If you want to say they only lost by a couple points or a few points, whatever, moral victory, great. I don't believe in that. I think Darius Garland needs to step it up. I have been a Darius Garland, I won't say hater because that's not true. I like Darius Garland, but I've just been honest about Darius Garland. Darius Garland disappears in big games. He is very, very unclutch, if that's a word. When you need a clutch play, Darius Garland is not that guy. Yes, when we're playing the fucking Bulls or the Blazers or some shit team, Garland will go out there and hit a huge three in the fourth quarter. But when we're playing a team like the Celtics, or it's crunch time in a game against a tougher opponent, and Darius Garland tries to take over, it usually doesn't go well. As you saw yesterday, there was a time, beginning of the game, Darius Garland was off. Stop shooting. Towards the end of the game, Cavs were making a huge comeback. Who derailed that comeback multiple times? Darius Garland by trying to take a fucking three when he shot 0 for 6 from 3. He's taking these bad shots trying to take over the game. You're off. Stop shooting. He kept doing it. We lost the game. I put a lot of yesterday's loss on Darius Garland. There's a lot of people out there trying to defend him right now, and I have been a huge critic of him. I've been skeptical of him as a guy you can depend on when you need somebody to depend on. So I don't have much to say about it other than that has to stop. Darius Garland has to get his shit together. Okay? Other than that, though, 15-1, Cavs just tipped off against the Pelicans. However, right before the show started here, I did see that the Cavs have decided to rest people. So Darius Garland, I believe, is resting. I forgot the whole list. But there it is. Yeah, Cavs are up 53-45 right now. They are still beating the Pelicans because the Pelicans have a long injury list as well. But the Cavs, same thing, decided to rest some people. It looks like it's not hurting them at all. So they're starting 5. Like Luke Travers is in the build is on the court right now for the Cavs. That's when you know you're down to slim pickings. Their starting 5 tonight was Evan Mobley. Oh, they gave Jalen Tyson a start. That's actually really cool. I'm very happy about that. He's got 9 points. Kudos to the rookie. I'm going to have to turn that game on my phone here in a second, if I'm being honest. Jalen Tyson, Jared Allen, Donovan Mitchell, Ty Jerome were your starting 5 off the bench. Tristan Thompson is getting some minutes. Craig Porter Jr., obviously. Luke Travers and George Niang are getting the bench minutes. It looks like Sam Merrill and Darius Garland are active but will not play. Maybe JT Thor gets in and gets a couple of minutes, but we'll see. Doesn't look like. I mean, again, they're up by 8. It's not the end of the world. It's not a blowout, but they're up. The Cavs are good. The Cavs are fun to watch. I love every second of it. LeVert is out. Bryce is mad. He has him in fantasy basketball. I mean, LeVert technically was arguably the best bench player in basketball as of right now. Statistically speaking, he has like the best plus minus in basketball. But hurt. That's what happens. Karis LeVert is what they should call him. But bump. So cool. Good for them. Good for the Cavaliers. Really quickly, we'll switch gears here. Go to baseball. Stephen Vogt wins his rookie season as a manager, wins manager of the year. Everyone saw that coming. The Guardians had a great season, and he was their new manager. So that's usually how that goes. You get that award. Guardians also made some interesting moves. They designated George Valera for assignment, who was a rookie prospect that's been in the minor leagues for years, that a lot of people thought, was going to one day make his way up here. And he has been designated for assignment and taken off the 40-man roster to make some moves. They did trade Eli Morgan today for Alfonso, forgot his name, outfielder from the Cubs. His name escapes me. They traded for him today by trading Eli Morgan to the Cubs. I forgot his name. I don't feel like Googling it. It's not that important. It's a guy that I don't really expect to get a lot of playing time, I don't think. I'm basically trying to not talk it into existence, because I know I talked earlier about how I don't expect them to make many moves in the offseason, but they do need some help in the outfield. And if this is the move they're making as like their big offseason move, I'm just praying that, this is an irrelevant move. This is a move that doesn't matter. That's how I'm trying to speak into existence. We'll see. So shout out to them. Long off season for baseball. We'll be talking more. We'll have plenty of time to get to it. That's really it. I got nothing else for baseball. We're going to move on now to the fights. The Friday night, we'll start with that one. Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, and JG got in the ring. And that was the most fixed bullshit I have ever seen clips from. I say clips because I got home from Solid Gold Lounge. Perfect timing for that fight to start. They were playing it at the bar. They had the fight going on Netflix. They hadn't started yet, Paul and Tyson. It was all the undercards. So we race home. I run in the door, turn on the TV. Let's get Netflix going. Fuck yeah, I can't wait to watch this fight. Buffering. Stopped at 25%, stopped at 50%. Wouldn't load 100%, wouldn't start. I'm like, okay, not great. Everyone in the world is probably trying to turn, not everyone, you know what I mean? A lot of people in the world are probably turning this on right now to watch it. So a lot of traffic. I'll keep trying. Keep trying. Nothing. Finally, I'm like, all right, I told Tara. Tara's mom was still over at that point. We had just gotten home from the bar. Tara's mom ended up actually sleeping over because we got home kind of late. So they're downstairs in the den where her mom was getting ready to go to sleep. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to go watch this in bed. I go up there, turn on Netflix. Won't work. Finally, I just text Tara. I'm like, I'm going to bed. I give up. It's like fucking 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, whatever the hell time it was. I was tired. I was like, I'm over it. It is what it is. I don't care. So I went to bed. Woke up, saw that they said it ended with a Jake Paul decision after it went all 8 rounds or 6 rounds, whatever the fuck they did. And everybody and their brother was talking about how shitty it was. And then I saw the highlights. I saw there were so many times where Mike Tyson looked like he held back on punching. I don't know. I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, but it seems like all of these Paul fights just don't look real. So I don't know. I vow to never watch a Jake Paul fight again until he fights an actual boxer. I thought it was funny that there was a reporter who straight up asked him that, and he said, you want to be taken serious as a boxer, when are you going to fight an actual boxer? And he basically was like, oh, you're that same piece of shit that said that last time, and then like his fucking security pushed the guy out of the room, and it's like, that's a legit question. If you want to be taken serious as a boxer, box a real fucking boxer. You're fighting a 60-year-old Mike Tyson. You're fighting these UFC guys who are not known for their boxing. You're fighting, old fucking washed up people. Fight a real boxer if you want to show your worth. But nope. As soon as that ended, he called out, who did he call out? Conor McGregor for a UFC fight. It's so stupid. It's all about money. I'm sick of this guy making money. We should not be making idiots multimillionaires, but that's just what we do here in America, and it's fucking annoying. Yeah, and Mike Tyson, good for him. He got a fucking, a $20 million payday or something like that for doing this fight. So, I mean, I don't blame him. I would do it too if I could. But for the person that has to watch it, it sucked. For the guy that could just go out there, get in shape, throw a couple of weak punches, and get a nice payday, awesome. Fucking knock that out of the park. Then we move on to the Stipe fight. Was it worth your legacy? Yeah, if you heard Mike Tyson's speech to that little girl who asked him about that, he does not believe in legacy. She said, how do you feel this affects your legacy? And he goes, I don't believe in that word. He's like, legacy's stupid. He's like, once you die, your life's over. It's dead. Who cares about legacy? And he's kind of got a point. Think about it. Mike Tyson is known as the baddest man on the planet. everybody and their brother in our age range knows Mike Tyson. 20 years from now, maybe, further than that, 40 years from now, 50 years from now, when Mike Tyson's long dead, when we're all probably dead, are people still going to be talking about Mike Tyson? Probably not. Your legacy's cool, but eventually everybody gets forgotten. So I don't think it hurts his legacy. I think if anything, it helps, because I look at it from a different perspective. It's known that Don King was ripping Mike Tyson off. Mike Tyson should be a much, much, much wealthier man. Yes, he had some good luck with his, I think he runs like a marijuana farm or something like that, or he has something to do with weed that I think makes him pretty lucrative money. But had he not done that, Don King ripped him off from so much money. So the fact that Tyson's able to get this huge payday just to go out there and fucking have a shitty fight, more power to him. I don't blame him one bit. I would have done the same thing, especially in his situation. He earned that money from being the baddest man on the planet, from being the best boxer in the world for a 20-year span or whatever in the 90s, 80s, 90s. He should have been, one of the richest people in the world because of how good he was as a boxer. But because Don King was a piece of shit and ripped him off, he's making his money back. So kudos to him. That fight sucked, though. It seemed super fake. I think the real Mike Tyson, had they not, I'm just tinfoil hat on. I don't think it was a real fight. I think there were behind the scenes agreements of you can't do this, you can't do that, and that's why that fight sucked. And it was very obvious. When you watch a career boxer, one of the best boxers of all time in some people's opinions, I'm not a huge boxing historian, so I can't answer that. I know I had an argument with, or not an argument, I was on another show, shout out to Redline Radio, formerly known. There was a show called 4th and 15, I think it was called. I forgot the name. My apologies. I think that's what it was called. I don't remember. They haven't been on in years. I honestly don't remember. So they asked me to come on, and they all of a sudden get this guy on, and they're like, hey, do you mind if we call up this guy to talk about boxing? And I was like, I don't care. I don't know much about it. And this dude's like, who do you think is the best boxer of all time? And I think I said Tyson. I'm like, oh, Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali? No, it's this guy. I'm like, I've never even heard of these guys. Like, you're arguing with me, and that's fine, but I don't know who the fuck they are. It was totally fixed. I knew it was going to be fixed going into the fight too. I just, in the back of my mind, and I get it, they're doing this so well because they know everyone hates Jake Paul. There is not a lot of Jake Paul fans out there. People watch these because they want to see him get knocked out. That's the commodity. If Jake Paul started getting knocked out in all of his fights, no one's going to watch. So that's why they don't let him get knocked out. It's a great business decision, but it's so fucking glaringly obvious to me that that's what they're doing. The only reason I watch that fight or clips of it or even care about a Jake Paul fight is the small chance he gets knocked out. That's it. I even bet on that. I forgot $10 I put on for Mike Tyson knocking out Jake Paul because I wanted to see it. That was the only reason I care about that fight. I just want to see that little fucking smug dickhead get punched in the fucking mouth and get knocked out cold. I would love it. That's all anybody wanted to see. It didn't happen because the fight was fake as fuck. Mike Tyson, even at 60 years old, could have thrown more punches. Mike Tyson, at nearly 60 years old, had videos of him training montages, and he still punched like a son of a bitch. It looked like it would hurt. Did he hold up against Jake Paul? You bet your ass he did. There were so many times they show him, there's some, sorry, I punched my mic there. There are some clips where he's like getting ready to fucking throw a punch, and he like dropped his glove and like tapped him. It was the weirdest thing. It's not Mike Tyson. It was clearly, the fix was in. So that fight sucked. Moving on. UFC Cleveland legend Stipe Miocic took on John Bones Jones in a fight that I told everybody and their brother is not going to end well for Stipe. I love Stipe. He is arguably the greatest heavyweight champion in UFC history, Cleveland's finest. I knew this was not going to go well. So I, unfortunately for Stipe, had to bet against him. I bet John Bones Jones would win in a knockout. And thank you, John Bones Jones. Ugly fight. Stipe looked old. He looked like a 40-year-old man who hasn't fought in 3 years, and that's exactly what he was. John Bones Jones is in his mid-30s, hasn't fought in a while, but he's, that age difference was there. I don't know. I felt bad for Stipe. I really didn't think he'd have a chance. John Bones Jones is one of the greatest UFC fighters of all time. Stipe is too, especially as a heavyweight championship. As a champion, his run was epic. John Bones Jones probably would have a better championship run had he not been a coke addict. So it is what it is. Shout out to Stipe. He came out after the fight and said he is retiring. Everyone saw that coming. He probably shouldn't have even had that fight, but I respect him for going out there to try to get that belt back. I respect it. Took a huge kick into the ribs, went down. That's another fight that I stayed up for. I wasn't paying for that. There's no chance. So I was Googling different streams, and I finally got a good stream, and I get it going. And I'm like, fuck yeah, here we go. It's got to be close. It's like, I don't know, 12:30. I'm like, it's got to be close. I don't remember what time it was. I'm guessing. But either way, I was getting so fucking tired. I'm laying in bed, I'm watching it, and I'm just like, dude, there's another undercard fight. Like, it's not starting for another how long? Like, I'm just like, I don't have it in me. So before it started, I was like, you know what? I really have no faith in Stipe winning this fight. I kind of don't want to see him get knocked out and embarrassed. So I just turned it off. I went to bed. Didn't even watch the fight. Woke up the next day, Googled John Bones Jones Stipe fight, saw he knocked him out in the third round with that kick. And I was like, okay, fair enough. Shout out to Stipe for making it 3 rounds. Glad I didn't watch it. So fights like that are just, I don't know. I'm not a huge fight guy. Like, boxing's cool if there's good boxers. And UFC, I only watch for pretty much Stipe or for Conor McGregor. That's the only time you'll catch me watching UFC. I just don't care enough about it. I feel like they have a pay-per-view every couple of weeks, it feels like. I mean, they're already up to like UFC 430. And it's like, come up with names for them or something. Like, why don't do it like WWE? Every year, do it. So you can have UFC, whatever, UFC Mania 2, UFC Mania 5. And then it's like, okay, once a month, they're going to have a fight or a show. And it's the same show that month every year. And you just add a number to it. It makes it a little bit easier than just, again, we're at like UFC 405. It's like, I don't know, it takes the fun out of it. Who gives a fuck? I can't look back and be like, dude, remember that fight we saw at UFC 405? No one remembers that. Now, when you talk to wrestling nerds, they're like, oh my God, the match between these two at WrestleMania 13 was one of the greatest of all time. Like, people remember that shit. So, I don't know. I think UFC's doing it all wrong, but that's just me. What do I know? They're a fucking multi-billionaire, billion-dollar industry, so they're doing something right. I just think there's too many of them, and I don't give a shit about 99% of the fighters, so don't care. I probably won't watch UFC again, if I'm being honest, for a very long time, because Conor McGregor, I don't think will ever fight again, and obviously Stipe retired, so don't really give a shit. I'm out. See ya. All right, that gets us to... It's time for picks. George, feel free to hop on. George is going to do picks with me for Kyle. He is posing as Kyle, as you can see from the scores there. I am up 118-61. Kyle, that trader who picked the Steelers, gets the Baltimore Raven colors this week. Thank you, George, for doing that.
That was purely coincidental. I don't know what you're talking about.
We are going to get right into it. I already gave my pick, which is cool. I mean, I'll just write it down. I'm taking the Steelers tomorrow night. I am going to write that down. Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so did Kyle.
I'm taking them minus 3.5. I'm taking the points. I don't believe Kyle put in his picks or his points pick. Did he?
He did not. He did not put in his points pick.
Okay, I'll text him.
You'll have to message him on that one.
Neither of us got our points last week, so again, it's irrelevant. I took the Bengals. I thought the Bengals were going to win that game outright. So the fact that they were +1, I was like, well, that's a double. And then he took the Browns minus 1.5, and obviously not even close. So. They wouldn't have hit it even if it was Browns minus 15, or plus 15.
It was ugly.
Yeah, nasty game. But again, every loss is a win for the Browns right now because I'm going for draft pick. So we'll get right into it, George. If you want to throw up the schedule, and we will start for Thursday. Well, we already did Thursday Night Football, so usually we do that one at the end. I will still do a little bit of a breakdown for that game once we wrap up picks towards the end of the show. We'll keep that going. But for right now, that's obviously first game. Sunday, we've got Kansas City Chiefs against the Carolina Panthers. That one I don't expect to be close. I am taking Kansas City, and I believe Kyle is as well, but I don't remember his picks. So, George?
Yes, he is.
Yes, I know Kyle likes to go rogue every once in a while, but I don't think he's that crazy.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I don't think that even the Carolina Panthers are showing up. You want to talk about a team that's quitting.
Yeah. Another team that's trying, but it's just not working, is the Chicago Bears. I do not think they get off their stride, or their skid, I should say, of losing. I am going with the Minnesota Vikings. Skull.
So is Kyle.
Pretty easy pick here. Chicago's in a situation right now like the Browns where prove to me you can win. Maybe I'll think about picking you, but right now they cannot win, so I'm not taking them.
Well, those field goal misses, man, I'm telling you, those
The misses, the blocks, all the
blocks,
shit. Every point matters. There are so many times where a guy misses an extra point and you don't think anything of it. Then the game comes down to the end and you go, oh, fuck, a field goal doesn't win. We need a touchdown because he missed that extra point. It always comes back to kick you in the ass. Yep.
Tucker missed too. And it's everybody. It's just not them. It's random guys. All these field goals, easy field goals, are being missed.
Which is, it's funny because not that it would have mattered because the game was a blowout, but I don't know if you watched the Monday Night Football game. Brendan Aubrey hit a 63-yarder. He was 1 yard away from a NFL record. He hit it like it was an extra point, and there was a penalty on the play, and the Cowboys took the penalty and took the points off the board, went down the field, did not score. And again, it wouldn't have mattered. It was 34-10 was the final score. But those 3 points, huge. Yeah. And McCarthy was like, nah, we're good. You have one of the best kickers in football, arguably the best kicker in football in Brendan Aubrey. And you're like, nah, we'll take the points off. And it backfired. But again, wouldn't have mattered. But some teams have a kicker that can hit kicks, and everyone else, it seems like, does not. Next game, I am going with the Houston Texans. I'm sure Kyle is as well. This one's a pretty straightforward pick. The Tennessee Titans are hot garbage.
Yes, he did. As I say, I think your next couple are pretty obvious.
Yeah, Lions, Colts, definitely not even thinking twice about taking the Colts here. So I think we're going double-decking Detroit.
Yep.
This one's where it gets a little tricky, if I'm going to be honest. The New England Patriots have not been winning, but they've been playing well. They are competitive. They're staying in games. The Dolphins are a weird team. The Dolphins are not a juggernaut by any stretch of the imagination. But with that being said, I'll let you go first with Kyle's pick because I don't remember who he's taken.
Kyle actually went with Miami on this one.
Okay.
And I agree with you. It's like, yeah, the Patriots aren't winning, but they're getting there.
They're competitive. They're
fantasy-wise, Drake May is saving my butt in a couple of rounds.
He's scoring points. He's keeping them in games. The only thing is, I mean, they're a team that looks like a nice up-and-comer. A nice offseason could really put them into a good position. But with that being said, because, again, I have the motto of I tend to side with the home team. I do believe in home field advantage when there's close games, close picks. So that would give the Dolphins the edge. Plus, Patriots just aren't winning. They're playing competitively, but they're not putting it together. So until they can prove they can put it together, which I don't think is going to happen this season, I too will take the Miami Dolphins. So we are at a dead heat, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon looking at these games.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say we're both taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yep.
That one's easy. They actually it's looking good that they're getting back Mike Evans this week, so that's good for them. Next game, same problem. I don't think anybody wants the Dallas Cowboys. They are a horrific looking team. I'm assuming Kyle has Washington as well.
Yes, he does.
So we might.
Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Drake May are proving that they are better than Caleb Williams.
Which I don't want to toot my own horn, but I tried to tell everybody that I did not believe in Caleb Williams. But toot. I will
let the Bears sit and rot over there.
That's their problem. They had their choice of anybody they could have held. They could have even kept Justin Fields, and they might be in decent shape.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Justin's happy sitting over in Pittsburgh.
Oh, absolutely. He knows he's more than likely their quarterback next year. Russell Wilson's not getting any younger.
No.
So yeah, we're both going to Washington there. Next up, I'm assuming we're both going with the Denver Broncos. I'm not taking the Raiders.
Yeah, this week's 90% of these games are easy, and as you see by the bye weeks, we are missing several games this week.
Several middle of the road teams too, because you have, if you look at that, you have obviously the Jaguars aren't good, so they don't count. Bills are very good, so they'd more than likely be a favorite. Jets aren't good, but they can be competitive. Falcons, 1 week they're great, 1 week they suck. Bengals, 1 week they're good, 1 week they stink. And the Saints, same thing. So you have a lot of teams that without them this week, it's on paper a lot of cut and dry games.
And fantasy-wise, a lot of people are not happy.
Yeah,
that's a lot of bodies right there.
I have to check my rosters here in a minute because I have a lot of guys that are not going to be available this week. Next up, we have the Green Bay Packers at San Francisco 49ers. The San Francisco 49ers appear to be suffering from what people are calling the Super Bowl loss hangover, and it seems to be very real. The Niners just cannot win. It looks like they look defeated. They took on Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs for a second time within a few years, lost again in the Super Bowl. And it seems like it's kind of weighing on them because they cannot put it together. They've had a lot of injuries. They had a lot of guys holding out for contracts. You hope that those don't become distractions, but they ended up being what looks like to be a bigger distraction than most people would think.
Yeah, Ayuk, and me being a big 49er guy,
yeah,
the big problem that we right now are noticing is that Shanahan is overthinking everything, and that's the problem. And he needs to just step back, and go back to what you know and stick with it. Stop trying to overanalyze your film and, hey, maybe this will work and this should work with this, and is adjusting things on the fly. And he needs to just stop and just go with what he knows and just utilize it because it worked.
Yeah. I mean, they are getting George Kittle back this week, supposedly. That's the rumor. I don't think it's going to be enough, though. I am going to go with the home team. I just think right now the Packers are playing really good football overall. They're playing good defense. They have their run game going. Jordan Love's playing fine. They're at home. That's a huge factor here. They have Lambeau Field on their side where it's probably going to be pretty cold, I would have to imagine. With that being said, I'm going with the Green Bay Packers.
Kyle did too.
He did? Okay.
But be careful. That's exactly what San Francisco does, is just once you count them out, whoops, there they go. And they're back on a 3-game win streak.
Well, I'm irritated with them because they cost me a parlay last week because I had them beating the Seattle Seahawks. So because of that, I am spiteful and I will not pick them this week. So I'm
Packers. Well, Bryce has been giving me crap ever since he found out that his Seahawks beat my 49ers, and he's not going to let me live it down for a few more weeks.
Nor should he. Speaking of his Seattle Seahawks, they're taking on the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday in Seattle. Arizona's coming off a bye week. They are surprisingly playing really, really good football. I don't understand it. They are the leader of the pack in the NFC West.
Scary.
So with that being said, I'm going with the Arizona Cardinals to keep that going until they prove otherwise. I'm taking them.
Kyle actually went against you on this. He took Seattle.
Okay, this is where he tries to get that game back.
That should. I'm hoping that's a good game, just like NBC got it right with the Chargers and Bengals on Sunday night. That was one of the best games I had seen.
Fantastic game. That was a great game.
It was a great game.
Hopefully this game can be half as good for Sunday Night Football this week. We have the Philadelphia Eagles going to the LA Rams. The Eagles are ugly. They're an ugly team. They can win, though. That's it. And the Rams are kind of similar. The Rams don't have any... I mean, the Rams will beat you with Puka Nacua, with Cooper Kupp. They've got some nice little pieces. However, I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles here. As of right now, I took them early in the season as a Super Bowl contender. I think I had them as my Super Bowl pick for the NFC. So I am going with the Philadelphia Eagles. Saquon Barkley is arguably playing at an MVP level right now, so I think they're going to ride him until the wheels fall off. So I am going with the Rams. Or I'm sorry, the Eagles.
Yeah, so is Kyle, and I hope so too, because a lot of my fantasy stuff, I jump on that Eagles bandwagon, and so far I've been a little disappointed with A.J. Brown and Hurts a little bit. Depending on the situations, I'm not been real happy. I'm like, this is not working out well.
No, I understand completely.
Everybody's going on Eagles.
Yeah. And then Monday Night Football, we have the Battle of the Harbaughs. We have the khaki pants match. This one should be a really good game because you have one of the best defenses in football in the Chargers against one of the best offenses in football in the Ravens. As you saw last week against the Steelers, a better defense trumped the Ravens. Could be a little different with the Chargers. We will see. I am, however, going to go with, I don't even know. Who do I want here?
I was going to say last time it was Harbaugh versus Harbaugh. It was in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad this one isn't.
And he needed the power to go out to win.
Yeah. Sure. Oh, I forgot about that.
I did. And I'm a 49er guy, remember?
That's true.
I'm still salty about that.
Changed everything.
Darn it.
Let me check. I don't even know what the spread is on this one. I got to look that up. I got FanDuel right here. Give me just 2 seconds to look it up. While I do that, though, Kyle, George, you can give Kyle's pick.
Yeah, Kyle is going with the Ravens on this one. He went with Baltimore.
Okay.
Baltimore, I think is. I'm really sketchy on why Baltimore isn't using Derrick Henry as they should be. I mean, last week's game against Pittsburgh was sick.
There's something about Jim Harbaugh, or I'm sorry, which one's Baltimore's John? There's something about John Harbaugh that he panics in big moments and forgets his strengths. He did it in the playoffs last year. They were facing the Chiefs, and they just didn't run the ball. Their bread and butter all season was a run game, and they stopped running, and they lost the game. And everyone's like, oh, wow, the Ravens choked. They were the 1 seed, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, yeah, he fucked up. That's just what he does. Then on Sunday, what happened against the Steelers? They stopped using Derrick Henry. They lost the game by 2 points. If you use Derrick Henry a little bit more, you're probably going to win that game. When you're facing a team that can't score a touchdown, you have Derrick Henry, who's a touchdown machine, you decide to go, nah, we're good. I don't understand that move by him. If they're preserving him for the rest of the season, maybe. But he did not look too happy on the sidelines when he was standing there just watching the game happening. He didn't look hurt. I don't know. It was a weird situation.
You know what's
especially
scary?
When they have a long week.
Yeah, you know what's really scary is there's a very good coach that he reminds me of, and it's the similarities are so scary. It's not even funny. Marty Schottenheimer.
Yep, absolutely.
It is super, super scary that he is almost mirroring that. I was just like, stop.
Sometimes same issue you brought up with Kyle Shanahan. Sometimes these coaches get in their own way, and they forget what got them there, and they just they blow a fuse. I don't know what it is. They just start doing things that don't make any sense, and it's obvious for fans to just go, hey, you know what? You probably have a better chance of winning if you pound the rock with Derrick Henry and run the ball. And he goes, you know what? Because everyone wants me to do that, I'm going to do the opposite. Then they lose. I don't know. It's the NFL. It's hard enough to win. Why make it harder on yourself? So with that being said, I am going to go with Baltimore as well. I don't trust the Chargers yet. The Chargers look like an interesting team, but I don't know if they're legit yet. The Bengals, obviously the Bengals are a 2 or 3 win team. They're not great. So beating them on Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football last week was cool for the Chargers, but it wasn't some great win that you're going to put in the record books. They beat the Browns. They beat the Bengals. They're not beating any world burners. So I'm going to go with Baltimore just for
if the Chargers do pull that off, though, that does put them into that pretender or contender kind of topic.
Sure. They're definitely a playoff contender.
Yeah, they're almost in. They would be the 7th seed right now if the playoffs happen today.
Yeah, so they're definitely right there. This would be a huge win for them, but we'll see what happens. So it looks like Kyle and I only have one difference of a pick this week, and that is, of course, the Cardinals and the Seahawks. We're going with the Birds. So I'm going to quickly break down I'm not even going to break it down. It's easy. I'm going to talk about the Browns, and then I'm going to do just a tip, and then we are going to wrap it up right at 9 o'clock because I hear my baby crying because she's sick. Tara's been texting me that she is refusing to go to sleep. So we are going to end at 9 o'clock, and I'm going to go take over and try to get her to go to sleep. So I look forward to that. But yeah, so the Browns take on the Steelers. Again, it's a rivalry to an extent. Thursday Night Football in Cleveland. Amazon Prime will be here. The weather's supposed to be shitty. It's going to be cold. It's going to be snowy, rainy, a little mix of everything. As much as I want the Browns to win or to lose so they get a better draft pick, if they happen to win, I would not be upset about it because if you're going to win 2 more games this season, make them against the Steelers, and I'd be happy. But I don't foresee that happening. As I said earlier, I am taking the Steelers minus 3.5. The Browns are just not a good team. We have so many missing pieces on offense. Nick Chubb, unfortunately, I love the guy, does not look like his former self. We do not have a threat on offense anymore. I think Pittsburgh is going to exploit Jameis Winston and his turnover tendencies. Nick Chubb, again, we can't get a running game established because we don't have good running backs anymore, so that's done. Our offensive line is gone, so that's out of the question as well. I just think it's going to be an ugly day. Again, shit weather. I foresee a lot of turnovers. I do see it being maybe a low-scoring game, but at the end of the day, I have Pittsburgh winning by at least 4 points because I am taking them minus 3.5. I don't understand how Vegas keeps doing that. Week 1, The Browns were a favorite against Dallas, got blown out. Last week against the Saints, Browns were a 1-point favorite, 1.5-point favorite against the Saints, got blown out. I don't understand how Vegas hasn't grasped the Browns are terrible, so I will play against that, and I am going to take the Steelers -3. Pittsburgh's going to win. My number one priority, though, is just don't let TJ Watt do anything. Don't let him get a sack. Don't let him get a strip sack, recover a fumble. Just make sure Pittsburgh fans can't talk about that guy. Shut him down as best as you can. I don't care if you have to run 3 tight end sets with a running back also helping block. Do not let him get in the backfield and do anything. I just think that'd be really funny if we can rub in their face that he had nothing in the stat book. That would be really funny to me. As petty as it is, I can live with that. That's who I am as a person. All right, so both of us are taking Pittsburgh. Yeah, Kyle's taking Pittsburgh. I'm taking them -3.5. We'll get Kyle's spread pick before Sunday, and we will make sure that gets counted up with the tally for the score. And we will go from there. And with that being said, we have reached everyone's favorite segment here, Just the Tip. George, thank you for reading Kyle's picks. I appreciate it as usual. I believe Kyle will be back next week, but we'll find out. My Just a Tip this week is a new Netflix documentary that just dropped last week. It's called Return of the King, The Fall and Rise of Elvis Presley, because Elvis Presley was huge. Elvis Presley was one of the biggest sensations in the world. He just wanted to be an actor. He wanted to be taken serious. He loved acting. He loved singing. And he got ripped off by Colonel Tom Parker. Colonel Tom Parker gave him some of the worst contracts in history. He had to do a bunch of awful movies with just horrendous scripts, and nobody took him serious. So Elvis basically got depressed. He kind of fell out of the limelight. He was miserable. He then decided to do a comeback special, the 68 special that everybody, I'm sure, is familiar with, where he wore this, leather jacket outfit. And he did this special on NBC. It was one of the most watched programs of all time, because back then there were only like 2 or 3 channels anyway. But he did this comeback special, and this is basically a documentary of the comeback special being created. It goes into the details of how he got to his lowest point, and then he went to do this special and made himself a name again, played some rock and roll, was happy as fuck, got that huge residency in Vegas where he ended up playing for the rest of his life. He went to Vegas and played like 300 fucking shows over the last few years of his life, where they were popping him with so many pills and drugs and food that he ended up dying at, what did he die at? 44, I think he was, something like that. Super young. I love Elvis Presley. I'm a huge fan of his work. I think he's a great musician, singer. Just tremendous voice. It's undescribable. It's one of a kind. It's unique. Super talented. I don't think we'll ever see anybody that cool again. But he is the king. I love Elvis. You guys all know that. So when this documentary came out, I was really excited. Didn't really learn anything new. I've read books about him. I've seen his movies. I've watched documentaries. I've seen so much shit about Elvis. Nothing new was presented other than just footage. They had some cool behind-the-scenes footage. Talked about, again, the making of the 68 special, how he was so nervous. He almost didn't even go out there. They had to force him to go out there. So it's really, really cool. I really enjoyed watching that. I love Elvis. Anything that comes out about him, I'll watch. And the show was no different. So if you have a chance, it was only like an hour and a half. Quick watch the Fall and Rise, because, again, he was huge. Sorry, my screen's small. He was huge, and then his career took a shit in the toilet, and then he came back up. So that was cool that it's called The Fall and Rise, not The Rise and Fall. I like that. So if you have a chance, if you're interested in Elvis, check it out. Kyle and I were actually texting about it today. He said he's going to check it out for sure because he thought it looked good. And we'll go from there. I will talk to you guys again next week, probably. As of right now, because of the holiday, Thanksgiving, Tara is working Wednesday night. She should be done around 8 o'clock. Or I'm sorry, 7 o'clock. So if I can do a show, it'll be late. We're going to have a late start. So as of right now, we're going to plan for 7:30. So we'll do a 7:30, maybe just a quick hour episode because it is the day before Thanksgiving. I know Kyle's probably going to be going out. I doubt I will because of the baby. But either way, it's the day before Thanksgiving. It's a big drinking day, big party day for everybody. So next week, if we have an episode at all, it's probably going to be a quick one. It's going to be a late start. I will talk to you guys all about it. I'll keep you posted on social media. But with that being said, I'm going to go take care of the family here. I will. That was a good one. I'll talk to you guys all either next week or the week after. Thank you all for watching, and we'll talk to you then. Cleveland, that was for you.